I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 here and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed, and shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener, yes, dear listener, yes, dear listener. We are in the midst of the Red Stream. We're doing 10 songs from the Big Homie Red.
Back to back.
This one is called Lost All Faith. Lost All Faith by the Big Homie Ren.
This is for DJ Nick, y'all.
This is for the Big Homie
We're
DJ
doing a
Nick.
chronologically putting out 10 of his songs. So if you're interested in seeing this entire stream,
Later,
go
Sean
to
James.
Rumble and check it out because it got
That's right.
blocked in other locations.
The fascists in YouTube has blocked us, dear listener. They blocked us. So we're doing a straight Ren review. We're trying to figure out this guy. If you don't know, now you know. This kid is definitely not a one-hit wonder. This dude is ultra talented, really good lyricist. Really like him. Very creative mind. A little bit controversial as well.
Yes.
Everything you want. Here we go. Ren, Lost All Faith. Let's check it out, dear listener, right now.
Mate, I'm in a bit of a rush right now. You're a sick guy. Thanks, mate. You're a sick boy. I've got to get out of the train, mate. I'm really sorry. I'm talking to you. Hey, can I get a quick picture, mate? Nah, mate, I've got to go, mate. Just a little cheeky little picture, but I've really got to go, mate. I'm sorry, mate. Alright, fine, quickly. I knew it was you. I'm a charming fella, I like drinking cans of Stella. See, I'm living for the weekend, bag kebabs and salmonella. Cinderella story raps, the richest minute full propeller. I'm Nigella Lawson stacking mozzarella. Only joking, I'm an introvert, alone inside my room because my insides hurt. I contemplate existence with consistence in my polo shirt, then reassert my confidence with compliments I don't deserve. I calm my nerves by plotting for the day that I might leave this earth. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Pain is my shepherd, my sword and my shield. I find my refuge in patience and pills. A patient that's patiently waiting for help. I don't ever seem to feel well. Can anybody save me from myself? There's blood on the leaves where I fell. Coming down. Burn the border, sons and daughters, law and order. Streets, Mona Lisa, this is art, make her Mona Lisa, she needs mummy. Eeny, meeny, miny, Mohammed, Abi Ali. Pleased to meet you, mate, who's the G? Not me, I'm a regular guy. halitosis with psychosis, omens etched in my mind. Overdosed on pills and potions, a collection of mine. Split a Valium with a Zanny and I mix it with wine. Hey, pull yourself together, mate. Pull your socks up, stand up straight. Look at you, you're such a mug. God, you're such a fucking stain. Honestly, I wouldn't be seen dead with you in public. Depressed and disorderly, it's like you fucking love it. Mug. Maybe you're right, maybe it's friend. Do it again and again and again. Maybe I'm high, maybe I'm meant to live in a cycle of anti-survival like man. In a prism like Ben, shot the iris of the land. Make believe and play pretend. God's my witness at the end. With God as my witness, I walk through the valley of the shadow of sickness. I fear no evil, I need no forgiveness. Deliver me from temptation, he never listens. I don't ever seem to feel well. Can anybody save me from myself? There's blood on the leaves where I fell. Coming down. Burn the border, sons and daughters, law and order. Crave dishonor, praise my selfish ways. I've come too late. I've lost my faith. I've lost my
Could you be the one? Yeah, I know, could you be the one? Yeah, I know, could you be the one? Good, could you be the one? Yeah, I know, could you be the one? Yeah, I know, could you be the one? Yeah, I know, could you be the one? Good, could you be the one?
I lift up my eyes to the hill. Pain is my shepherd, my sword and my shield. I find my refuge in patience and pills.
Could you be the one?
Wow, man.
Some good stuff.
Wow, dude. That's this is my favorite Red song.
Ooh.
I like this better than
This is a good one.
the big one he did. What's the big one he did that everybody's like?
High
"Oh,
Ren."
High Ren. Yeah. I like this. This one's better than High Ren to me. To me.
Okay, so Fishy from Rumble says he spent more, this is going back to the Masochist songs. He spent more than a decade fighting illness and misdiagnosis after misdiagnosis with wrong prescription meds causing psychosis on top until he found a doctor that diagnosed him with Lyme's disease. What? When he wrote Masochist, he was more or less bedridden with crippling pain and depression and just wanted everything to go away. His own description of it was way more complex. But hey,
Yeah.
thanks for the update.
Sounds like he was not enjoying himself. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit that like button. If we see you, retweet it. Send an email, VillageXchange@gmail.com. You will be put in for a drawing in which you can win any prize that you request. You can win a mug, you can win a shirt, you can win a free review, etc. I generally do not like auto-tune, but I loved this song, particularly the auto-tune part, which is really funny.
Yeah, it was really good.
So he had Lyme disease. I knew somebody with Lyme disease, and it really, really screws you up.
I knew two people with it.
Because
Screwed up both of them.
Yeah, it screws up your body and your mental health
Yeah.
simultaneously. Like it's a very, 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 it's a very difficult cross to bear. I'll say it that way. And this person was like, it was one of the sweetest people I've ever met in my life. And
She had that
yeah,
too.
she struggles. She to this day, like she struggles with it heavy. So that's not something to shake a stick at. That really, really sucks, to be honest with you. Lost all faith. What do you got? What was going on with you?
Well, I liked there's one part in here. First of all, when he did I Lift Up My Eyes to the Hills, he did such a great job, but I really wanted it to be like the actual verse. So I was like sizing up for like something really amazing. Like, I lift up my eyes to the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. But then he said, I lift up my eyes to the hills. Pain is my shepherd, my sword and my shield. I find my refuge in patience and pills. A patient that's patiently waiting for help. Like that, I was like, wow, what he did with that was pretty crazy. And also, like, that's gotta be... trying to decide what to say on that one. I definitely, there's one part down here Actually, you want to jump in so I can find where. Oh, right here. Okay. No, I'm not doing that right now. I'm just gonna, let's just go into the lyrics, because I'll get there when I get there, I guess.
Well, the pain is my shepherd thing is, yeah, there's a, in the Psalms it says, you know, I lift my eyes to the hills, where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. And he replaced that with, you know, I raise my eyes to the hill, where does my help come from? What does he say? Pain?
Yeah.
Or pain is my shepherd or whatever, which is also a double on Psalm 23. You know, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. But here he says, pain is his shepherd. Yeah, you know, depending on the subculture you're in, there is a sense in which, like, you almost have to earn your spot in the subculture by how much pain you've endured. Like, it was this weird dynamic, like at the hospital, for example, like our floor where like the you really had to get locked down and you really had to watch all the patients on that floor because we were real. We were really gonna do that shit. And all the people downstairs, they were just trying to get attention. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so weird. It's like human beings will find anything to make themselves above other people. It's ridiculous.
Including make yourself a bigger victim.
Yeah, but like, you can be in a situation where all of your decisions and your mindset are guided by your relationship to pain, whatever kind of pain you're in given the situation. Yeah, that's why I talk about Vaughn, for example, and like he did a lot of killing. And a lot of that was because he didn't know how to process his pain. Like, because there are certain subcultures where like that's the way to deal with the loss, is not to, you don't really grieve the loss, you just find the person that did it, and then that's the part of the mourning ritual. And if you're not in that kind of a community, it's really impossible to understand how that works. But it does temporarily for those people, man. So it was just crazy, like looking at the lines, because you know he's once again struggling, and he's talking about God, and he's asking God to help him like deal with his temptations, but at the same time it's not working very well for him, and he's got a real issue with dealing with that. Pull yourself together, mate. Pull your socks up. Stand up straight. And if you don't understand how that kind of depression, how debilitating that kind of depression is, it's impossible to explain. But at some level, like, you end up really alone because the people around you can't understand what you're dealing with. But you have to. But at the same time, it's like you made pain your guiding force. So you decided you're going to live from the posture of the pain that you're dealing with, and you're letting pain be the shepherd of everything. But you know, it's easier said than done to let that kind of shit go, because you get to the point where like you've run into so much pain, and like every corner that you look at, it's something else, so that you just go like, okay, I'm not going to do the regular human thing and try to avoid pain, because that's just not going to happen for us, or at least, you know what I'm saying? So it's a good way. It's a good way. And it's interesting too, because he's not completely feeling sorry for himself. Burn the border, sons and daughters, law and order, crave disorder, praise my selfish ways, I've come too late, I lost my faith. So it's good to be able to acknowledge your own selfishness. Like, no matter how deeply into your mania you are, and I mean mania in the technical sense, you still have personal responsibility. And that is not there to like wag the finger at you. It's there to give you hope. If you don't have any personal responsibility in the midst of your mental health issues, it's over with for you, because you literally cannot change. If you have zero influence, then you have zero possibility of change. If you have 1% influence, then take responsibility for that 1%. The other 99%, God, your family members, your doctors, your chemicals are going to make up that other difference. But whatever but don't worry about the 99%. Worry about the 1% that you're responsible for. I mean, me particularly, if I'm going through something like, my number one instinct is to completely be by myself and be alone. And I'm not doing that this time around, and it's qualitatively different and it's better. And something that could have, and I'm still like, if folks aren't out of the woods, I'll just say it that way. But things are a lot better that, I'm around you than otherwise. At least there's a fighting chance of me handling it in a way that's not going to be a way that you wouldn't like. Say it that way. But anyway, you need people around you, I think is the point. And I think, I don't ever feel well. Can anyone save me from myself? Like, I love the song because of he admits that he's selfish, but he also admits that he's got a lot of shit going on in his life, and he's got to find a way to balance everything. And I thought he had it's just great, man. It's a really honest song, a very realistic song, but it doesn't completely and totally disempower the listener if you can relate to it.
Yeah. I think the part that popped out to me was the bridge, with God as my witness. I walk through the valley of the shadow of sickness. I fear no evil. I need no forgiveness. Deliver me from my temptation. He never listens. Which I thought was crazy, because if God doesn't deliver you from your temptations, then that means that you've been led into sin, right?
Right.
But he says he doesn't need any forgiveness. Mm-hmm. So how can you not need forgiveness while at the same time accusing God of not leading you away from temptation? And it kind of like popped out to me, because in my experience, I mean, everybody has a vice. Everybody has something that is their point of weakness. Like like when you're doing really bad, like that's your go-to. There they go. And for me, with my vice, when I started finding myself like in that place, what changed it for me was, your vice is something that like calls to you and you have to fight against it. It was like this big battle, but then something changed between me and God. And so I know that if I fall into my vice, that I sense a sort of distance between me and God. Not that God has removed himself from me, or that he's not trying, that he's not leading me away from temptation, but like there's a chilling effect that I sense in my relationship with him when I choose my vice over him. And it's been interesting, because it's not like I'm like, I keep choosing him because he's the way, the truth, and the life, and he's the water in the desert, and he's the food when I'm starving. Like, that's Jesus. And so for me, like, that's been, it's not like I can't choose this, which is what I used to always do. I'd be like, I can't choose this. I can't choose my vice. I will not choose my vice. But then all of a sudden you're like the alcoholic that's like, I'm not going to choose my vice, but that drives by the bar. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, they could have taken a different way home, but they drove by there because they were like, I'm not going in. And then all of a sudden they find themselves in there drinking. Like, it was like that. I was like gripping it, like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. And then it became something altogether different when my hands got full of something else, which is Christ. And when I had that reality and that whole thing, like, changed something for me inside. I'm not saying I'm a perfect person. I'm absolutely not. But it definitely changed the way that I see my vice, that I deal with my vice. And it just doesn't have the same, grip over me. So when he says, deliver me from my temptation, he never listens. I don't know. Like, sometimes there's other things that have to change, I guess.
Yeah, and I think one of the cool things about reading the Psalms in the Bible is that these are prayers. And sometimes it's just looking into the guy's journal.
Yeah.
And he accuses God of things that God is not guilty of. How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? Blah, blah, blah. Why did you abandon me? You got people in the Bible going, man, leave me alone so I can see some happiness. Just turn away from me, please. Just leave me in my space, man. Uh-huh. And it's because God is big enough to handle that shit. And, he's, Job said that, why are you, he said to his friends, why are you checking everything I say when the words of a despairing man are like for the wind? Like, when you're in a moment of despair or mania, God is not like doing a theological like, yo, like that contradicts this doctrine right here. Like, there's a reason stuff like that's in the Bible. Will you know, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. That's what God said. But then here comes us saying, how long will you forget me forever? Why did you abandon me? Blah, blah, blah. And God doesn't strike the person who said that in the Bible. He doesn't always show up and say, don't you remember when I say? He lets the person have their moment. He lets the person have their moment. And like, sometimes it's like, let the person have their moment, man. If God is that big, then he can take Ren saying, I asked you for help and you didn't show up.
100%.
When God is the very reason you're still alive, and God is the one that gave you the incredible mind that gave us all this incredible music. And I'm sure at some level Ren knows that. Like, God doesn't need to show up in that moment and say, how dare you say that about me? Like, he can handle it. Like, he can handle it, you know? Like, and I think that that's really cool. That's one of my favorite things of it. You know, if you read the Quran, all the good guys are like just good, man. They're just good. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no like, oh yes, like, but in the Bible, man, people are like,
you're like, well, hold on a minute.
They're irrational. You know, they're flawed heroes. You cheer for them. You want to cheer for them, and then you see the flaw, and you're like, God bless this guy. Like, you know, and like that's Ren, right? Like, he's a flawed, but you want to root for him. And like, this is the kind of shit you would see in the Bible, like this kind of thing where it doesn't have to be completely theological. Like, for example, there's oh Babylon, happy are those who bash your babies' heads against the stones. And people go, oh, that's in the Bible. Yeah. That's not God commanding people to do that to Babylonian babies.
Right.
That was the metal that was written at the time because they had just seen that happen to their children. And so how do godly people deal with that kind of trauma the same way you would, right? Like, you want the vengeance, you want that, then you express that God word, and God says, I'm going to put that in the Bible. I didn't command you to do that shit, but I get it, and I'm big enough to handle. You're under some trauma, you want some get back because you lost your kid. I'm big enough, you can put that in the Bible. It's okay. So, I love the song. It's one of my favorite songs.
I did too.
A lot of my prayers have been heretical and accusing God of shit that...
Mine were too for a while.
It is what it is.
Who knows?
It is what it is. Only one I know that got a #1 album while in treatment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I keep talking about, like, my mental health struggles and things like that, man. Like, there's nothing to be ashamed of. And quite frankly, a lot of times, like, those of us with those kinds of issues are one of one in their given communities. And so it's a balancing act, man. It is what it is. But yeah, this one's going in my playlist, 9.8 for me. My favorite song so far of the night.
I'm going to match you at a 9.8 on this one. That was Lost All Faith, you guys. And up next is Wicked Ways.
Wicked Ways coming up next. Big homie Ren, big homie DJ Nick. Let's go.
We'll be right
Vin
back.
out.
Sori out.
Gone.